All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the night news. I'm going to get right into the news clips. Shout out to everybody who's watching and stop by. Make sure you guys hit that like button as you come in. You're interactive in the chat. Be respectful to all mods, subscribers, and supporters. And, I got a couple of news clips that we're going to get into tonight. And that we are also going to go over tomorrow, including the news clips from Monday. So, welcome to the live stream, guys. Let's jump right in.
Stop scrolling the news about Israel for just a second, because reading headlines is one thing, but...
All right, shout out to Aaron Page reacting to Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. He has a lot to say about his prior performances. So, I thought Aaron Page did a really good job with this. So, let's take a look.
The truth about the artist Bad Bunny, the one who was selected personally by Jay-Z to perform at the Super Bowl, and the same person that just won a Grammy, is finally getting exposed, okay? Because hidden behind his music and his innocent gesture that he gives off, telling people about love and how we should all get along, is actually a very demonic person that has been selected by Hollywood and the elites to do their task, okay? And I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, this guy is not just a singer that came up and worked his way to the top. He was selected just like all of the other ones was for a specific reason. All right, let's hop in this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys. Let's hop in.
Video is for all the people that won Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl. Let me show you guys a video. If that wasn't enough, let me show you guys another one. Last but not least.
Now let me do one that's gonna blow your mind. The Bible. The Bible is a girl.
Why is the Bible a girl?
Because it's beautiful.
Yes, and also because the Bible, everything you want to do, it say no.
I think that the fact that we are tolerating this demonic behavior in a stage where millions and millions of people are going to watch it is unacceptable. There's going to be kids, there's going to be teens watching this, there's going to be young people, extremely easy to influence watching this type of video, listening to this music. Unacceptable.
This is not the first time that we've seen an artist climb to the top of the charts out of nowhere and get put into certain situations and positions. And a lot of people are questioning, who is this person? Where did he come from? Even though he has a fan base, obviously. But it's very easy to see that he was put here by the Hollywood elites. Okay. And the reason why is because he portrays what they want. Okay. A lot of the debauchery that is spoken of in the Bible, that the Bible condemns, he's a part of it. He didn't climb to the top of the charts and put in these positions based off of hard work and perseverance only, okay? We've heard from many different people in Hollywood say that there's more that you have to do. You have to give allegiance to these people, these executives, these elites, in order to get put in these positions. And that's exactly what he's done. And it's evident when you see his music videos, when you hear his music, and when you see what he's putting out and how he's mocking God and the stuff that he does, okay? Let's hop into this video. Let's check this out.
This is Bad Bunny. This is who they're giving you for the Super Bowl halftime show this year. But I'm not shocked. Did you know that Jay-Z's Rock Nation does the selection for the halftime shows? That's why you're getting Bad Bunny, because they want to woke America. This is what the world does. It celebrates sin, it mocks purity, and it calls the darkness light. As a Christian, I will not support it. Why? Because we're not supposed to soak in entertainment that will drag us away from God. Ephesians 5:11 says, have nothing to do with the fruitless works of darkness, but expose them. Don't clap for it, call it out. Truth is, the Super Bowl halftime has turned more into a ritual of glorifying rebellion than anything else. But that's the world. It's blind, it's broken, and it's headed for destruction. I won't be shocked when Bad Bunny's performance is full of filth. However, I am shocked when Christians see it and they shrug it away like it's no big deal. The world is going to act like the world, but the church, we're called to be different. We're called to shine brighter. We are called to stand apart. Don't just consume culture, confront it, and then keep yourself and your children away from watching it.
I agree with everything that he said, and I also appreciate how he said to not only just to not participate, but also to expose the darkness, because we have to do that as Christians for other people in their eyes and their hearts to be open towards the truth in Jesus Christ, okay? Because there are going to be people, even Christians, but also people that don't believe in God, that are going to watch this, that are supporting this. But then when they hear somebody like us speaking out against this, it may change their perspective and even get them interested in God, okay, in the Bible, if they are not already Christians. All right, let's look at this one. And then I'm going to show you somebody who is a Christian who was lost in Bad Bunny's music, that got caught up into it, and she eventually got out of it because she heard the truth about it, okay?
I don't feel like cooking today, so I'm trying 2 meals from Cook Unity to see if they're actually worth the hype. And first up, we're starting with this mission style.
Check this out.
You didn't understand what I just said. You have 4 months to learn.
Yeah, we have 4 months to learn about you. Look at him. It's Bad Bunny.
I want to just give you all a warning. There's going to be some nasty stuff in this. Okay, so if you don't want to see this one, you can kind of skip over it. But it's some debauchery being shown. But really, it's good that we show it because it's the truth about what's taking place. It's the truth about who he is, and that they're putting this person in front of all of our children and families during the Super Bowl halftime. Okay, let's finish this.
And we also know you are with Puff Daddy. Puff Daddy? Bro. Look here. This is... And we also know that you sold out.
Guy, real quick. Yeah, this like a powerful eye to see everything.
Yeah, we can see everything. Watch here. Here. Bro, he kissed a guy. And we also know that your concerts are fully demonic. Watch this. It's so demonic, bro. This is why they want him to perform on NFL. And look here. It's just in front of us. And don't forget to share, because every American needs to watch this.
As I just said before, based off of his activity, he's obviously going to get the call, right? He's going to get the offer. Hey, do you want to be a part of what we're doing? Do you want to get pushed into the top charts? Do you want to do these performances? Well, you got to do this. And he already, in his music, I don't know his earlier music, but from what we're seeing today, it looks like this is what he already indulges in. So it's very easy. It's very easy for them to choose him to be the front runner, the next person up for their demonic, dark stuff. Okay. Now listen to this person right here. She's going to talk about how she used to be deceived by the music, by Bad Bunny, and why she supported him. And her eyes were open to the truth. And now she sees just how dark and demonic his music is. Okay, let's check it out.
I used to listen to Bad Bunny if you're a Christian and you got baptized. And I'm like, well, because I love him? What do you mean? And he's like, yeah, but he has the devil sitting behind him in the music video, Yo Pero Sola. And I'm like, really? I end up literally looking up the video right there as I'm talking to him. And I'm like, oh. I didn't even know what to say, y'all. It was like a veil removed from my eyes when I just realized, like, I really love this dude so much. When in reality, like, they're mocking my God, going against what the living word calls us to do. That was the day the veil was removed from my eyes. Within a week, y'all, like, I just felt convicted every time a song would be played, that I was like, all right, I'm giving this up. It is pointless to listen to this music when it's jeopardizing my relationship with Christ, because when I listen to it, it makes me want to do unrighteous things.
Calling this stuff out is effective. It's proven to be effective. It's proven that some people are going to hear it and their ears are going to be closed to the truth. But there's going to be a select few that hear it and their ears will be open to it and their eyes will be open to see the truth. And they're going to say, I don't want any part of that. There's a lot of Christians, Christians today, by the grace of God, I pray that they would dive deeper into Christ. But there's Christians right now that are living a lukewarm lifestyle who claim to be in allegiance to Jesus Christ. But if you look at their life, it does not show that. It shows that their allegiance is to the world. And that's why we have to make these videos, to open the eyes of everybody so that we pray that some will hear it and receive the truth. This is what I'm talking about, double-mindedness. This is what I mean when I say there are secret people who may claim some type of allegiance to God, but in reality, their hearts are not pointed towards God. It's towards the world and darkness, and it needs to be exposed. Okay, let me show you all this.
And I'm going to tell you the story of Mazen El-Zubi, Southern California boy, real estate investor.
Jesus' speech was sandwiched between Bad Bunny's Ice Out speech and Lady Gaga's performance was wild. Bad Bunny won the award for Best Música Urbana album. In his speech, he began by acknowledging what's going on in our country with ICE, saying Ice Out, and went on to give a really beautiful message about love versus hate.
We're not savage, we're not animals, we're not aliens, we are humans, and we are Americans.
Right after Jelly Roll won the Grammy for Best Country Album of the Year, he followed with a very loud speech about Jesus.
Jesus is for everybody. Jesus is not owned by one political party. Jesus is not owned by no music label. Jesus is Jesus, and anybody can have a relationship with him. I love you, Lord.
Which is fine. I do think, though, since he loves Jesus so much, that I wish he would talk to his friends about Jesus and what his teachings actually were about.
So she said that she wished Jelly Roll would have spoke about what Jesus's teachings actually were about. And let me show you guys, if you're not informed, what Jesus's teachings are actually about. This is Revelations chapter 21, and this is John talking, and he's talking about what he heard from Jesus. He said to me, it is done. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. To the thirsty, I will give water without cost from the spring of the water of life. Those who are victorious will inherit all this, and I will be their God, and they will be my children. But the cowardly, the unbelieving, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those who practice magic arts, the idolaters, and all liars, they will be consigned to the fiery lake of burning sulfur. This is the second death. The things that he's describing about the people that practice these lifestyles, not saying someone that committed something one time and repented, someone who has a practicing life of these things are not going to inherit the kingdom of heaven. That's what Jesus came to talk about, and how you could attain salvation, obviously through faith in him. And then when you have true faith in Christ, you no longer desire to do these things. They don't rule over you. You actually have a desire to follow Christ, even though we're still in a fallen world. That is what Jesus's teachings were actually about.
We all know Jelly Roll is a convicted felon, so we know he didn't vote, but personally, I feel like it's obvious who he would have voted for if he could have. Immediately following his speech, Lady Gaga gave the performance of the year. And I absolutely love how she gave us full satanic ritual realness right after that mega church vibe speech. We really needed that as kind of like a cleanse. And then right after, she actually won Best Pop Vocal Album. So thank you, Lady Gaga.
We already know that the Bible warns us about what's going to take place in the last days. People are going to go deceiving and being deceived, which is taking place, which is what this is doing. And Paul also tells Timothy about how people will behave in the last days. It says, you should know this, Timothy, that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves and their money. They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at God, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. We're seeing all of this on display right now. Okay. It says they will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than God. They will act religious. What we just saw in that video and other many videos of people that claim to know God, but in secretly they have no faith in Christ. But they will reject the power that can make them godly. Stay away from people like that. Bad Bunny absolutely needs to repent for the things that he's done, for mocking God, for the stuff that he's putting out in front of the people. And he needs to understand that life is temporary, and selling your soul to Hollywood and these elites does not give you everlasting life. In fact, Satan is not going to give you these things, and you can just take them without giving him something in return. And when I say that, I mean, he's going to give you these, but in the end, you are going to have the same result as Satan. That's having a position in a lake of fire for choosing to follow your worldly passions and reject God completely. But there is hope for all of us, and that hope is in Jesus Christ, turning from our sin, turning from these lifestyles, repenting, and putting our faith in Jesus Christ and following him and learning from Jesus the right way by what the Bible actually says, not by people that are going to tell you false things about the Bible, false scriptures, interpreting scriptures in a way that's going to lead you astray. All right, look, let me know how you guys feel about this video in the comment section, okay? If you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you do not miss another video. I post tons of videos about things happening in the faith and current events and all.
All right, shout out to Aaron Page. Hey, everybody's going to have their own opinion about Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl. You have some people who are extremely America at heart, and they are not happy about it, you know? And then you have other people that they don't really care, and they are excited about it. So shout out to Aaron Page for the information. Let's go to the next clip.
Like 200 games in one. Don't feed the nightmares. They've taken enough already.
All right, next up, Antonio talks. He's talking about some of the commonalities he sees, or at least the main one he sees in the Epstein files.
So on the screen, we have a picture of all of the people that were mentioned in the Epstein files. Well, a majority of them. And I'm also going to read off a few names, okay? Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, Prince Andrew, Tony Blair, Mohammed bin Salman, John Kerry, Ted Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., Michael Bloomberg, Alan Dershowitz, I'm sorry, don't know that name, Noam Chomsky, Ghislaine Maxwell, Andrew Cuomo, Larry Summers, Ed Barak, Les Wexner, Leon Black, Jean-Luc Bruno, Peter Mandelson, Lynn Rothschild, Abdullah bin Zayed, Saad Hariri, I am butchering these names, Miguel Angel Moratinos, Woody Allen, Leonardo DiCaprio, Kevin Spacey, Harvey Weinstein, Mick Jagger. I've been sitting on this video for a minute. I wanted to see if anyone was going to point out the obvious. The majority of the people on this list are white men. Can you imagine what it would be like if majority of those people were black? I mean, black fatigue would be trending again. This is the hypocrisy that I talk about, and this is why I make the videos I make. Whenever a white person, shoots up a school or something, they are quick to put them in a subgroup. It's never that they're white. It's now, oh, they on the right, they on the left, they're liberal, they're conservative. And the same thing just happened again. It's not a race thing. It's more of a class thing now. Oh, we need to do something about the rich. Oh, we need to do something about the elites. No, we need to do something about white men. Just look it back, y'all. The whole black fatigue trend started because I really want to say Carnival Cruise. A lot of people were mad that black people were having fun. So that ended up turning into hate. But now we have a situation like this where sick ass white men, white women, whatever, are on the island doing shit to little children, other white children at that. Why aren't white men held accountable? Why isn't the actions of these few people on this island responsible for the whole race? Because when it's flipped around, that's how it's done for black people. And it's just so funny because when I point these things out, folks call me racist. They say I'm this, they say I'm that, but I just do the same thing they do. You know the crazy thing, bro? All of this is going to get swept under the rug. In a few months, everyone's going to forget about this. A black person's going to do something stupid it and it's gonna stand for the whole race of black fatigue gonna be trending again. I'm telling you. The same thing with the whole Nick Fuentes and Clavicular when they all got together singing the Hail Hitler song. Did y'all see how fast them folks punished them? I mean, they got kicked out of every club. They was hopping online apologizing because when you disrespect a lot of these other groups, there are consequences. You will be punished. But when you disrespect black people, oh, it ain't nothing. Okay, y'all on your own. You know what I'm saying? That's what I just be saying, man. As black people, we gotta return the same type of energy. The same way they, you know what I'm saying, keep everything in house. The bar is high for them. With us, a motherfucker do a dance, he invited to the cookout, bro. We gotta stop that shit all 2026. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't moving like John Brown, you not get invited to the cookout. I'm sorry. And if you don't know who John Brown is, man, that is a white man who stood on business. He was out here killing slave masters. And you know what white people did to him? They killed him. They say he was less than white man because he was helping black people. That's what they do to the white people that speak out against injustices. You not white no more. I just be fed up. That's the reason I made this whole channel. Just this whole situation right here, y'all.
I'm gonna say something about the Epstein files that a lot of y'all are not gonna like. The only reason that the Epstein files has the power to topple the world is because a lot of y'all genuinely believed that the elite would never treat white people the way that white people collectively treated black people during slavery. Slavery wasn't black people being forced to work a job they didn't care about. It was people being forced to work until their muscles would fall off of their bones. Black people would be tortured for just funsies. They'd be medically experimented on with no kind of anesthesia. You know how throughout the South, even today, it seems like every other pastor and peapod is touching on kids? Well, that is a cultural stay from when white people used to own black children. Do y'all honestly think that a master is going to wait until a slave turned 18 in order to assault them? It's better to break them in when they're young. But if it was really that bad, why weren't there more slave rebellions? There were slave rebellions throughout the South, constantly. The only reason why you only know about Nat Turner is so that way everybody can point and be like, oh my gosh, look at him, he's so crazy. He started killing these white people because he thought he had messages from God. Even after slavery ended, whenever a black person would be lynched.
Yeah, hold on. Let me tell y'all a fun fact about Nat Turner. When they caught that brother, man, they believed that he had powers. Like, they thought this nigga was godly. We all godly, but they thought he was really divine. So when they caught him, after lynching and killing him, they cut him up and ate him because they thought that eating him would give them the powers that he had. And like I said, they used to eat us all the time, had cookbooks and all that type of shit. But Nat Turner was different because that brother was moving. That moved right here. He was like the Django, I think. So they ate him, thought that shit would give them powers. Yeah.
Other times, the white people who did it would literally sever off some of their body parts and keep them as mementos. Black people would be skinned, and then their skin would be turned into human leather, so that way it could be used for leather goods, like coin purses, or the binding of a book or a bag. There is not a single thing in those files that has not been done to black people before. The problem isn't that elites are doing those kinds of things. The problem is, bro, I thought us white people, I thought we were in this together. I thought we were a team, man. So keep in mind, as above, so below. The elites told non-elite white people, hey, here's a group of people who we deem as worthless, and y'all can torture them and do whatever the hell you want with them. And they'll have little to no recourse whatsoever. And white people collectively, we were like, cool. The trade-off is that the elites also got their own group of people that they could do whatever the hell they wanted to with little to no recourse. The problem is, that group of people was you and me. It was pretty much anyone who wasn't part of the elite. White people collectively made a deal with the devil. Here's this group of people that you can violate and brutalize to your heart's content, and in exchange, we get your humanity. That's why white people are miserable and constantly in black people's business. That's why for pretty much at least the past 100 years, any kind of cultural artifact that's really stayed and stood the test of time has been from black people, often just with a white face on it. And that's why, by and large, white people were so disturbed whenever Renee Goods was murdered, because we've seen that hundreds of times before, but that's supposed to happen to black people, not to us. And a lot of white people are acting so disturbed because now they're killing our neighbors, but you didn't particularly care whenever your neighbors were dying during the Black Lives Matter movement, now did you? But in the past couple of months, now a lot of white people are waking up to a really obvious reality, and that is black history has always been white America's future. For the past couple of months, white people are being forced to wake up to the obvious truth that there is no kind of solidarity or allegiance of whiteness across class lines. It's always been all of us are cattle to them. That's it. But all of this is why I wasn't surprised at all when in the new batch of files that were just released, there was like an email or something where somebody said that they didn't want any of the children they were planning on doing things with to be black because, duh, any white person could violate a black person and get away with it. That's just the way the world is. But to do all of the things that we did to black people onto other white people, that's power. Brutalizing black people just doesn't really fuel the ego for them in the way that hurting white people does. These people aren't in some way attracted to their victims. That's never the case with sexual assault. These people get off on the kind of power and rush they feel, the thrill of having violated something of value and then being able to get away with it. It's the same way that a lot of men will sexually harass or batter women doing notably better than them. It fuels their ego, like being able to violate her and get away with it. This has always been going on. We have always known that this has always been going on. The problem is, you didn't think that you would be in this position whenever push came to shove. You thought it was just going to be the black people.
Hey, man, y'all got to do a deep dive into the files, bro. It gets so wicked. Anytime I really talk about stuff of that nature, YouTube or age restrict my videos, so I ain't really going to go too deep on it. There's plenty of videos. I think my dog Don did a video going through the Epstein files, so y'all can check that out. But, man, it was wicked in there, bro. And like I said, we seen who majority it was. Like I said, in a few months, shit, Black Fatigue probably going to be trending again. We the low picking fruit for a lot of them. We the easy target. Like I say, the world is whitewashed. It's colorist shit. It's easy to come after us. But look, man, if y'all want to see something similar to this, man, go check out my first video on these files, man. Elon Musk. Y'all know I'm the biggest Elon hater, so check that video out.
With Popeye's new $5 fave menu, you can get this, or this, or this.
Now, the president, the White House have engaged in good faith with Democrats in
The connections. Always, I don't know what to stand up for your country. I had an extensive conversation with President Trump this morning. It's always, I don't know what the word is. It is a privilege to talk to any president, even the bad ones. I respect the office that much. But when you're talking with a contemporary president who you've known for 35 years, it is, I still can't process it all. But anyway, the president called me because he saw the No Spin News and our reporting on the China situation with this Singham guy in Shanghai funneling millions of dollars into the USA that are going to 501c nonprofit radical left organizations to foster violence and chaos in Minneapolis, Portland, LA, and other places. The president watches the No Spin News on a regular basis, comments a lot, but this one was serious. So he asked me if I would send him our backup for what we have. Now, ordinarily, I would not do that as a journalist. I mean, what we assemble here in-house is protected by the First Amendment. But it's the President of the United States. And this is a horrible situation that is damaging our country. So I decided to send him what we had. And I think I made the right decision. I back it up 1,000 different ways. But my job is not only to analyze the news honestly, and I do, but it's to look out for you. And if we're going to have an adversarial country, China, all right, through an American citizen, this guy Singham, funnel money into here to cause violence and death, everybody's got to know. So the government does know, as we reported, the House Ways and Means Committee are on this guy Singham. They have known about it for a while, but there's not an urgency until this morning. President Trump was urgent about this. I got it over to him fast. My staff is the best. And we encapsulated, boom, 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 A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that reporting has not been challenged. And it won't be. All right, we're serious people here. You got the President of the United States and world leaders all over the globe watching this broadcast because they know we're serious people. We broke this story. Others had mentioned it, but we did all the work to link it all together. And I thought you should know about that conversation. So talk a little bit about Iran, which is obviously heating up as the
U.S. Navy shot down a Iranian drone today. He asked my opinion. I gave it to him. I'm not going to share it here because it's not the right place. And I could be wrong on Iran. I'm not wrong on China and violence and all of that. But Iran, I don't have the connections that I do have other places, like Russia. I told the president, because he read Confronting Evil about Putin, who's on the cover, and the Ayatollah Khomeini's on the cover. How ironic. All right. I said the trade deal with India, which we'll tell you about in a little while, where Modi, the president, says he's not going to buy any more Russian oil, is huge. Putin's furious. Absolutely furious. And the president said, well, how do you know that? I said, because I got guys over there. I can't tell you who they are because if Putin ever found out, he'd kill them. He would. But Putin knows. India cuts off their oil purchases from Russia. And then you got Xi coming up in April, okay, which could happen too. It's it for Vlad. So all it is, talk about waking up in the morning. Wow. All right, talking points memo, death on the left. Okay. Ma'am Donnie, 34 years old, elected mayor of New York City. New York is having the worst cold wave it's had in 4 decades. 16 people dead so far, 13 hypothermia. 13 froze to death. Why? Because Mandami is not forcing homeless people into warming centers, as every other mayor in New York City's history has done. Let that sink in. 34-year-old guy can't run a Taco Bell. He's running the largest city on earth, in the United States. Okay? 13 people froze to death because Mandami will not enforce the cold weather emergency program, which is now turned into Code Blue. Very simple. When a New York City police officer sees someone in distress and it is below freezing,
this is really sickening news to me, but at the same time, it's not shocking. Like, I can't believe that about Mamdani. Every other mayor of New York City forces them. So 16 people, 13 people have froze to death because he's not forcing homeless people into shelters. And I'm like, I'm not shocked by that. He has never had a job. And people thought that him being the mayor of, I know it's not the older generation's fault, but I'm like, that's just sad that happened.
The officers take the person into custody and bring them to a shelter or a warming center. And Dami says no. Didn't order it. There's no official order, but the cops are standing down. Okay. We all have the picture here. Now, Mandani's got to explain himself with 13 hypothermias, correct? Here's what he said.
Alrighty, guys, this is the before, and this is our customer system after. These new all-electric...
The deaths that we have seen, at this time, it does not appear there is any relationship between encampments and what we've seen with these 16 New Yorkers. The policy on encampments, we have long said that it was a failure to pursue a policy in the manner that the previous administration did, and we've said that it's a failure because of its having only connected 3 New Yorkers with permanent housing over the course of 365 days.
That's just gibberish. That's all it is gibberish. It gets me angry. Answer the question. Why didn't you take all these people in? Why'd you leave them out there in 2-degree weather? Why? Oh, they were premium policy. Come on.
65 days. That's that we have seen.
Picture here. Now, Mandani's got to explain himself with 13 hypothermias, correct? Here's what he said.
The deaths that we have seen, at this time, it does not appear there is any relationship between encampments and what we've seen with these 16 New Yorkers. The policy on encampments, we have long said that it was a failure to pursue a policy in the manner that the previous administration did, and we've said that it's a failure because of its having only connected 3 New Yorkers with permanent housing over the course of 365 days.
That's just gibberish. That's all it is gibberish. You know? It gets me angry. Answer the question. Why didn't you take all these people in? Why'd you leave them out there in 2-degree weather? Why? Oh, they were premium policy. Come on. So, I'm not going to accuse the mayor of a crime, but neglect? My God. Minneapolis, same thing, different scenario. This is going to be harsh, but here it is, and it's true. If Walz and Frye, governor and mayor of Minneapolis, had done the right and legal thing and provided protection for ICE from state and city cops, the 2 people who are dead would be alive today. That is the truth. So Renee Good and Alex Preddy would be alive because what protection for ICE, the right and legal thing, and provided protection for ICE from state and city cops, the 2 people who are dead would be alive today. That is the truth. So Renee Good and Alex Preddy would be alive because what they were doing was interfering in a federal investigation. The local police could have prevented them from doing that by arrest or just telling them, move along. For example, if the Minneapolis police had been on Preddy's block when they should have been because they knew there was trouble there, but they stood down, they could have blocked Preddy from coming at the ICE agents, which he did. Preddy went out of his way to insert himself into an investigation. The Minneapolis cops could have blocked that. There's nobody in there. Same thing with Good in the car. The Minneapolis cops could have gone up to the car, said, move along, madam, or you're going to be arrested. If she didn't move along, they arrest her. ICE agents should not have to do that. They should not be in danger. The local cops should be providing security. That's called public safety. Right? So now we have 13 dead because of the communist Mandani in New York City, and 2 dead because of the far-left radical governance of Minnesota. Now, am I surprised? No. This happens in every totalitarian left-wing place on the planet. I mean, look, if you read Confronting Evil, all right, you see every single communist and socialist nation does this stuff. They don't care about human life. On and on and on and on. So I wanted to bring it to your attention because it's going to get worse. You cannot have a system where some laws are obeyed and others aren't. You cannot allow people to freeze to death. You have to forcibly remove them. The drug addicts don't care if they die. I know that. But we as a society have to care. Don't we? And that's the memo. If you are a homeowner, there's no better time than now to call American Financing to wipe out that debt, eliminate the stress, set your...
You know, some people who've dealt with loved ones who are addicted to drugs, they may say, well, you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. You know, that's the point of Bill saying that every mayor before Mamdani would force them into a homeless shelter. I mean, I hate this news. I think this is crazy. Like, I really do. I think this was totally unavoidable. I think it's immature at the very least. Immature is not a fitting word. You know, this is ridiculous. Some people are going to say he needs to be charged. You know, some people are still going to support this madness, but I really think that that's sad, and that's something that did not need to happen.
yourself up for a strong, an average of delay.
Imagine making $453,000 in a single month as an affiliate marketer without relying.
I think that's what killed Tommy Lee Jones's daughter in San Powder cocaine. And remember, United States, the Colombian today, President Trump meeting with Gustavo Petro, the Colombian president. Colombia not an important country for the United States. We trade with them, but not a big deal. The problem with Colombia is narcotics, okay, particularly cocaine. Crack cocaine, powder cocaine. And remember, fentanyl is now put in the cocaine. I think that's what killed Tommy Lee Jones's daughter in San Francisco. So and I don't have inside information here, but what I suspect is that Colombia and the United States will reach a deal to share resources or something to fight the drug traffickers inside Colombia. I believe that will happen. Now, let's put it that way. India, I went over it with you. I can't tell you what a big story this is. And of course, the media ignores it because it doesn't help them damage Trump by saying, hey, the president's doing pretty well overseas. And he is. I mean, the presentation about Greenland, I told him, if you guys, I said, look, you can't be threatening invading Greenland. But I knew it was going to work out. Just like Panama worked out. But if you go down the list of accomplishments overseas, for Donald Trump's phenomenal. There's nobody close to him in modern times as far as foreign affairs. Problem is that Americans don't care about foreign affairs. And when I say problem, I'm talking about the midterm elections. So emerging as the major problem for the Democratic Party and President Trump is the cost of health care insurance. That is worrying people. It's out of control. And I don't know what the president's going to do about it. Very complicated issue. Couple of polls. Used to be the Kaiser Family Foundation. That's not. They changed their name to KFF. They did a poll. Okay, 1,400 U.S. adults. First question. Thinking about the past year, would you say your cost of living has increased a lot? 50%. Whoa. Increased a little. 32. That's 82%. Stayed about the same 12. That is not a good number for the president. Second question, how worried are you to be paying these bills, health care? Very worried, 66. Not worried, 34. Food, 57 worried, 43 not. Rent, mortgage, 52 worried, 48 not. Monthly utilities, 57 worried, 43 not. Pew poll, this is different than a poll I just gave you. It's very simple. Do you approve or disapprove of Donald Trump's handling his job? Approve 37, disapprove 61. Obviously, that is not a great number for Donald Trump. Next question, do you think Trump administration's actions since taking office last year have been better than expected, about as expected, worse? Better, 21, about 28. That's 49%. That's not a bad number. Worse, 50. So it's about a tie. Another poll. This is the McLaughlin poll. Now, John works for President Trump. So it's a Republican-generated poll. That being said, John McLaughlin's been very accurate. We wouldn't use him if he wasn't. So, 1,000 likely voters. The Pew poll is 8,500 U.S. adults. Nothing to do with likely voters or registered voters. Okay? These are people who are avid under McLaughlin. Question, do you approve or disapprove of the job Donald Trump is doing? Approve 50, disapprove 47. That is the biggest discrepancy I've seen quite some time. Okay? Do you support or oppose deporting known criminal and terrorist migrants? Support 87, oppose 10. Do you support or oppose deporting all migrants? Support 62, oppose 32. That startling number right there. Joining us now is John McLaughlin from upstate New York. So when you saw the Pew poll goes way the opposite way of your poll, you said to yourself, what?
Let me check the internals. Let me check the demographics, how they did it. And it's only, it's literally 28% Republican. We model ours after actual voter turnout. My survey matches up with the CNN exit polls from the last presidential race. Their poll, we have Republicans 35%, Democrats 34%, very close to the CNN poll. Their poll has only 28% Republicans.
So are you saying they cooked the books here?
Sure, they've been cooking the books. These media polls have been cooking the books against Trump since 2016. Remember the Hillary lock? There was no way Trump could win.
All right, so that's a pretty strong accusation you're making against Pew, that they're cooking the books. They're trying to get the negative number to hurt Trump going forward. And you believe that?
Oh, I believe it because it's adults, and they know it's not apples to apples, but they get a big headline. And you look at polls. I mean, there's been a series of them in the last couple of weeks. Our friend Larry Kudlow did a series on this, where you have when you look at the New York Times poll that was registered voters, they only have 38% Trump voters. We got 50 in the last election. We got 50% of the vote. We won the popular vote. You have polls like the Economist YouGov. They come out with a poll where they had in their poll, you're referring to notes, I got to refer to my notes, but they had more Harris voters, 46%, to only 34% Trump voters out of 1,722.
In the next 12 to 24 months, I believe America will endure an age of chaos. But it's likely to be more
adults. This is adults. They could be interviewing illegal immigrants for all I know. And you have the same thing with Pew, where Pew, it's adults. And they do it for an online poll.
I believe you. You don't have to convince me any further. I believe you that they're not honest polls. No surprise in this country at this point. Now, when will the polling matter for the midterms? Still 10 months away. And when do you think that people will begin to lock in on? Because this is vitally important for President Trump.
Well, I don't think the voters pay much attention to the polls as we do. And they're going to vote based on their own situation. And we have the Republicans down to in the generic ballot. Most of last year, and certainly in 2024, the Republicans were ahead in the generic ballot for Congress, which it doesn't, when you come down to it, it matches up by people vote on the names that are in their district. And, but generically, the Republicans shouldn't be 2 points behind the Democrats. The Republicans need to get much more aggressive. They need to run a contrast election. For example, in that same poll where we had 87-10, they favored deporting criminal illegal immigrants. In the same poll, when we asked, would you defund and abolish ICE, 46% of all voters said they would, 48 didn't. And when you're looking at disconnect, well, who is going to deport criminal illegal immigrants? It's the immigration. So the Democrats, and you mentioned it up front about this fellow Neville Singham from overseas funding a campaign against immigration. If you get rid of the immigration police, you have open borders. You then the country's destabilized, and these illegal
people don't link it together. It's all an emotional response. We know that. But this healthcare and insurance situation, coupled with car and house insurance insurance companies are battering the American people. I talked to President Trump about this. And, if that continues unabated for the next 10 months, the Democrats could win on that alone.
Right. And we did a survey for the Great American Health Alliance. Last week, it was released in Washington. Almost 4 to 5 voters support healthier savings accounts. This was an idea Steve Forbes came up in 95, 96 in the presidential race, where you get money that's tax deductible. Could be your own money, could be your employer's money. It's in an account, and you buy insurance above that.
Trump did that. Trump announced that last week.
Right. What a coincidence. But now you have to get Congress to change the laws to allow this to happen.
Okay. But maybe they will and maybe they won't. The messaging, though, on all of this, look, it's very clear, John, and I don't know how you, as opposed to you, process this. There are 2 issues the press, the media is driving. Epstein and ICE. They don't want to know about India or favorable trade agreement, or they don't want to know about savings accounts that would, provide money for kids. They don't want to know about any of that, okay? Because the two issues that they've latched onto, they believe the corrupt American media will damage the Republicans and Trump in November. So they're going to just jam this all day long, every day, and that's what's happening. So how do you overcome that?
You have to overcome it the way President Trump did in his last campaign. The tough part is he's not on the ballot this time. And
But he really is. He really is.
He is. Well, but it's the disadvantage because people are voting on you as a national referendum, even though you're not on the ballot.
Right.
That's to get outside the beltway. In the campaign, we broke through the mainstream media by going out directly to the voters, using social media. President Trump did like over 100 policy videos. People that would go to his rallies, we might get 100,000 people there. You would have hundreds of thousands of people send us emails and texts trying to go. The campaign could then use that information to promote ideas and our position on the issues and do a contrast, a straight contrast with the Democrats. President Trump ran because he ran directly against Biden and Harris's failed policies. The Republicans need to hold Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries accountable for open borders, for wanting to raise taxes. How can they talk about affordability when every Democrat in the House voted to raise taxes by $4.5 trillion this year? That's what they did last year. They voted to do that.
They voted against the bill.
But no one's holding them accountable. We have to get out there. We have to go outside the beltway.
Well, I don't know about the we, but it's going to be tight. But I think things will happen. Dramatic things are going to happen in the next 9 months that will, and we really appreciate you talking to us, John, from time to time. If you see any trends emerging, let us know. I think about September, the polls will really start to matter. And thanks for coming on tonight. Let's face it, the U.S. economy is under stress. National debt rising, trade war shaking the markets. And meanwhile, China is dumping the dollar and stockpiling gold. That's why I protected my savings with physical gold and silver through the only dealer I trust, American Hartford Gold. And you can do this. Get precious metals delivered to your door or place in a tax-advantaged gold IRA. They'll even help you roll over your existing IRA or 401k, tax and penalty-free. With billions in precious metals delivered, thousands of five-star reviews, and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau, you can trust American Hartford Gold as I do. Please call 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. Again, that's 866-501-5201 or text BILL to 65532. I'm 103. I am going to start Tai Chi because I still have 53 years left on the planet I want to enjoy. This is me after 2 months of Tai Chi. It keeps me strong, flexible, and energetic. It helps.
Make it a habit. 7 minutes of Tai Chi every morning, all the way for 1 month. In 1 week, you feel better. In 2 weeks, you look better. In 1 month, your wife won't believe your results. Here's a printable Tai Chi workout plan made for men over 50. These beginner-friendly exercises take just 7 minutes a day. Tai Chi helps men feel lighter, relieve back pain, and wake up with more energy every day. It's more than a workout. It's a game changer for your health and longevity.
If you are stressed out about getting out of debt, please listen to this. According to the Federal Reserve's latest survey, many banks have tightened their standards, which means right now could be your best window for negotiating settlements before lenders tighten up even further. And Done with Debt is one of the best I've seen at navigating debt relief. Done with Debt tracks credit card and loan company behavior, so they know who's negotiating and when, and how to get you the biggest reduction possible without bankruptcy or new loans. Done with Debt helps you through the debt relief process so you can keep more of your paycheck every month. So don't wait for lenders to tighten up their policies. Visit donewithdebt.com now. Talk with a debt specialist. It is free. donewithdebt.com. Okay, final thought of the day. I'll be at the Super Bowl unless I keel over or something, but got a lot of business out there in San Francisco. Over the weekend, we are going to have a special on Thursday. And this is not just for sports people. I want to emphasize this. So this is Super Bowl 60 that's happening on Sunday. Super Bowl 3 was the biggest upset in football history, okay, as far as the playoffs are concerned. That was the New York Jets against the Baltimore Colts. The third time Super Bowl was played. Everybody thought the Colts were going to win except me, because I knew the Jets, and they practiced a half mile from my home in Levittown, and I used to ride my bike all the time, and I knew the Jets were going to win. One other guy knew, the quarterback, Joe Namath. Okay, so we have a special on Thursday. Me going one-on-one with Namath. Roll the tape for a preview. Some of the Jet players have told me that after the game was over and you were on the field, none of the Colts came over to congratulate you.
I don't know. I wasn't looking for him.
But do you remember anybody coming over? Did Don Shula come over? Did anybody come over and say, Joe, excellent game? Did anybody do that?
Yeah, I believe Wardell Bracey may have a linebacker. There isn't.
Yeah,
asked me, and he told me to remember the Lord. Remember Jesus Christ.
Okay, so one did. But they didn't come over to mass congratulations. They were mad.
Well, I imagine they were sick, too. Yeah, you know, they fully expected to win, and they were overconfident. You know, they ran through the NFL that year, man. They had a really good team.
It's a really good interview, and we talk about Joe Namath's prediction that he would win the game. He got in trouble for that prediction. And I love Namath. I just think he's the greatest guy. He's 82. He's become a very good friend of ours. He was nice enough to sit down and give me all the inside stuff. So that will be on Thursday in this space. I will be on a plane heading out to San Francisco where they love me. You know they love me out there. They can't wait for O'Reilly to pull into town. I'm going to be tweeting all throughout the weekend. You guys are going to like it. I'm meeting up with my pal, Stephen A. Smith. Boy, oh boy, this is going to be something. Thank you very much for watching and listening to the No Spin News this evening. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thank you.
In the Senate, and they said they would negotiate on the final bill, the Homeland Bill. Good afternoon, everybody. We just had an important and historic vote on the House floor, a series of votes today, in fact, and we delivered for the American people. For some reason, many of the House Democrats wanted to shut the government down again and inflict pain on the American people. But I'm glad to tell you, I'm happy to report, Republicans got the job done. Our majority worked together, and we got the bills over the line. So we've now funded 11 of the 12 separate appropriations funding bills for the government for the year, and that's a big achievement because it's a big move towards regular order. Is something we promised and committed to. The biggest move towards that in many, many years. Now, the President, the White House have engaged in good faith with Democrats in the Senate, and they've said they would negotiate on the final bill, the Homeland Bill. And you might say, well, now that 96% of the government is funded, it's just 4% what's out there, but it's a very important 4%. Because remember what the Homeland Security Bill covers. It's not just Immigration Customs Enforcement. It's not just Customs and Border Patrol. It is TSA. It's the agents who keep us safe in the airports and keep air travel moving. It's the Coast Guard. It's Secret Service. It's FEMA. We're in the middle of winter storms that people are still digging out from. So this is no time to play games with that funding. We hope that they will operate in good faith over the next 10 days as we negotiate this. The President, again, has reached out. We are restoring calm in Minnesota, but again, we make the plea and the demand that the governors and the mayors in these blue states and blue cities participate with federal law enforcement so that we have a safer environment in which to implement and to enforce federal immigration laws. Very, very important, and it's something the American people demand and deserve. So we'll go forward now. We hope that everyone is in good faith. We think the next 2 weeks will be critical, but I hope that they will not keep that funding in suspense because it's too important to the American people.
Mr. Speaker, good afternoon. Do you really think that they can work out something in such a short time period? That's not much time.
I do. I mean, if everyone comes to the table in good faith, I'll tell you what we are not going to do. We are not going to work towards some sort of amnesty program or something. Some Democrats have whispered that that's what they would be about. We are not going to impede the enforcement of federal immigration law. We can't do that. We have to apprehend these dangerous criminals. We have convicted murderers and rapists and child molesters in cities across America, and we have Immigration and Customs Enforcement for a reason. These agents, these officers are doing heroic work trying to keep our communities safe, and it's unconscionable to us that you would have Democrat mayors and governors trying to impede that work, encouraging their citizens to get in the way, and that's what's created these dangerous environments.
How can you do that parliamentarily? How can you do that?
Well, it's up to the will of the people in the building, and I hope that they'll come forward again in good faith to work this out. Listen, they made a list of requests or demands last week. Leader Schumer made that public. And I will tell you that Tom Homan is in charge in Minnesota now, and he's already bringing about many of those changes. They are wanting to make sure that immigration enforcement is done safely and smartly and efficiently, and that's what you're going to get. It's going to be balanced. It's going to be a balanced approach. Of the demands that were made, the requests that were made, many of those are already being implemented. You notice that that they're going to have the body cameras. We put $20 million additional dollars in this legislation that they're holding up right now to pay for more body cameras. But Secretary Noem came out yesterday, as you saw, and announced that this would be the new policy. These are good things. The roving patrols will be modified. There are a lot of things that I think were thoughtful suggestions that would have already been implemented by Mr. Homan and others who are in charge of all this. And so I think we can get to an agreement. I certainly hope that's true. And if they have any intention of trying to keep these other agencies of government closed, it will be a fool's errand. And remember, we did front load the funding for Immigration Customs Enforcement and CBP in the big beautiful bill. So they have enough funding to go for the next few years. So what they will be tying up if the Democrats choose to close the government is these very essential services for everything else: FEMA, Coast Guard, TSA, and other aspects of national security. So it's a very dangerous game that they're playing. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Speaker. Members in the House support those changes, and do they need assurances like the SAVE Act attached to it?
Well, look, we are going to be fighting for the SAVE Act, and I'll tell you why this is so important. We passed it twice in the House, and we will pass it again. The SAVE Act just simply says you have to have verification of citizenship to register to vote. That's about a 90-10 issue on many of the polls in this country, and we're going to enhance it by what the president calls the Save America Act. And so it would be proof of citizenship to register to vote and voter ID, which is also about an 80 or 90% issue on the polling nationwide, depending on who you talk to. These are very important things to ensure that our elections are free and fair and safe. And that's a critical component of maintaining a constitutional republic. So this is a big priority for not just House Republicans, but for the American people. And we will continue to attach this to legislation and send it over, and it will be part of the discussion over the next couple of weeks, and we'll see how that shakes out. But I suspect that some of the changes, the procedural modifications with ICE, Immigration Customs Enforcement, will be codified. I mean, they said that they're willing to do some of this, and so we'll see how it comes out. I don't think we'll have to get rid of the filibuster to get these things done, and that's certainly our hope. Yes, ma'am.
Speaker, are you going to attach the SAVE Act to future DHS funding?
I'm not going to tell you in advance how those negotiations will go. There's a lot of discussions to be held, but I will tell you what I'm saying to you is that House Republicans have already passed the SAVE Act twice. We did it in the last Congress, did it in this Congress. We will continue to try to advance that because we believe that is critically important to the American people and to our election system.
Can we follow up on elections? The president says that he wants Republicans to nationalize elections. Do you agree with him? And do you have confidence in how elections are conducted right now, heading into the midterm?
We have thoughtful debate about our election system every election cycle and sometimes in between. We know it's in our system the states have been in charge of administering their elections. What you're hearing from the president is his frustration about the lack of some of the blue states, frankly, of enforcing these things and making sure that they are free and fair elections. We need constant improvement on that front. I don't know what the ultimate solution is going to be. I'm not going to get ahead of the negotiations here, but I think that is something that's going to be a continuing theme here. It's something that we'll continue to push, and we hope the governors will insist upon that same thing as well. In some of the states, like in California, for example, I mean, they hold the elections open for weeks after Election Day. That's just one thing that bothers so many people. We had 3 House Republican candidates who were ahead on Election Day in the last election cycle. And every time a new tranche of ballots came in, they just magically whittled away until their leads were lost. And no series of ballots that were counted after Election Day were our candidates ahead on any of those counts. It looks on its face to be fraudulent. Can I prove that? No, because it happened so far upstream. But we need more confidence in the American people in the election system, and it's essential. And everybody, no matter what party you're in, should agree with that. The mass mailing of paper ballots or mail-in ballots and all the other irregularities that have haunted us over the last couple of cycles, we need to tighten that up. Now, the red states have done a lot of good work in that front, but it's the blue states that I'm frankly concerned about. So we'll see how the law is modified and what's changed, but I hope we can get consensus to get that done. Yeah.
Pope Leo has cited Matthew 25:35 to critique Donald Trump's mass deportation agenda. How would you respond to Pope Leo in Scripture?
So you want me to give you a theological dissertation? All right, I'll tell you what, I'll post it on my website later today, but let me give you a quick summary. Borders and walls are biblical. From the Old Testament to the New, God has allowed us to set up our civil societies and have separate nations. Immigration is not something that's frowned upon in Scripture. In fact, it's welcome. We're to welcome the sojourner and love our neighbor as ourselves. But what's also important in the Bible is that assimilation is expected and anticipated and proper. When someone comes into your country, comes into your nation, they do not have the right to change its laws or to change its society. They're expected to assimilate. We haven't had a lot of that going on. When people cite passages out of the Old Testament, they say, well, you're supposed to take care of the sojourner and the neighbor, treat them as yourself, welcome them in. Yes, but that is an admonition to individuals, not to the civil authorities. The civil authorities are given authority under Scripture to maintain order. Romans 12, you want to do this? Romans 13 says that the civil authorities are God's agents of wrath to bring punishment upon the wrongdoer. And it says if you do right, you have no fear of the civil authorities, but those civil authorities are necessary. It's a calling. It's a calling to maintain order in society, and we have not had that. When Biden and Harris opened the borders wide for 4 years, we had as many as 20 million illegals come across the country, and we all know many dangerous people, hardened criminals, child molesters, rapists, murderers, all the rest, terrorists who came into the country. We did not take care of our borders. Sovereign borders are biblical and good and right, and they're just, because it's not because we hate the people on the outside, it's because we love the people on the inside. We should love our neighbor as ourselves, as individuals, but as the civil authority and the government has to maintain the law. And that is biblical, and it's right, and it's just, and I'm happy to have this lengthy debate with anybody any time they want to, and I'll post on my X page the longer dissertation on that for you today, okay? Thank you all so much.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a very important day. We have a lot of important days. But I'm thrilled to sign the Consolidated Appropriations Act to immediately reopen the federal government and fund the vast majority of operations through the rest of the fiscal year. I want to thank, and I have a list here because the list is growing all the time, and everybody wants to be a part of this. So I think I'm going to read the names. I think you deserve to have your names read, and if I don't read any, just raise your hand and let's have it. But I have to start with Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an incredible job, done really an incredible job, and we appreciate it. Tom Cole, Ronnie Jackson, Buddy Carter, Stephanie Bice, Ken Calvert, John Carter, David Joyce, Steve Womack, and on Steve Womack, I just, where's Steve? Where's Steve? Mr. President. Come here, Steve. I want to just say he had that's a rough week or so, right? Tough incredible wife.
Using a toothbrush is my least favorite way to clean retainers. I use the dental pod. If you wear your retainer every night,
including ours forever.
We are with you in spirit for this devastating loss, and we thank you for being here today. And I recognize you now for your remarks.
Thank you, Ranking Member Blumenthal and Ranking Member Garcia, and distinguished members of Congress. My name is Luke Ganger, and I'm here with my brother Brent. Renee Goods is our sister. We're here on behalf of Nae's big family and those who loved her. We're here to ask for your help. I was talking to my 4-year-old last week when she noticed I was not doing well. I had to come here today and talk to some important people. She knows that her aunt died and that somebody caused it to happen. She told me that there are no bad people and that everyone makes mistakes. She has Nae's spirit. The deep distress our family feels because of Nae's loss is in such a violent and unnecessary way is complicated by feelings of disbelief, distress, and desperation for change. In the last 2 weeks, our family took some consolation, thinking that perhaps Nae's death would bring about change in our country, and it has not. The completely surreal scenes taking place on the streets of Minneapolis are beyond explanation. This is not just a bad day or a rough week or isolated incidents. These encounters with federal agents are changing the community and changing many lives, including ours, forever. And I still don't know how to explain to my 4-year-old what these agents are doing when we pass by. Our family is deeply grateful for the outpouring of love and support from the community in Minneapolis and from people across the country and around the world. The prayers and words of support have truly brought us comfort, and it is meaningful that these sentiments have come from people of all colors, faiths, and ideals. That is a perfect reflection of Renee, who carried peace, patience, and love for others wherever she went. Our family is a very American blend. We vote differently, and we rarely completely agree on the finer details of what it means to be a citizen of this country. We attend various churches and some not at all. And despite those differences, we have always treated each other with love and respect. And we've gotten even closer during this very divided time in our country. And we hope that our family can be even a small example to others, not to let political ideals divide us, to be good, like Renee. But the most important thing we can do today is to help this panel and our country understand who Nae is and what a beautiful American we have lost. A sister, a daughter, mother, a partner, and a friend.
Good afternoon.
My name is Brent Ganger, and I'd like to share some thoughts from the eulogy that I gave on my sister's behalf this past Saturday. When I think of Renee, I think of dandelions and sunlight. Dandelions don't ask permission to grow. They push through cracks in the sidewalk, through hard soil, through places where you don't expect beauty, and suddenly there they are, bright, alive. Unapologetically hopeful. That was Renee. And sunlight, warm, steady, life-giving, because when she walked in a room, things felt lighter, even on cloudy days. Renee had a way of showing up in the world that made you believe things were going to be okay. Not because she ignored the hardship, but because she chose optimism anyway. She chose to look for what was good, what was possible, and what was worth loving. Nene loved fiercely, openly, and without hesitation. As a mother, Renee poured herself into love. The kind of love that shows up every day, that sacrifices quietly, that cheers loudly, that believes deeply. Her children were and are her heart.
If you live anywhere here in the red circled area on the map and you have an old, struggling furnace or heating system, right?
Walking around outside her body. And she made sure they felt safe, valued, and endlessly loved. As a sister, she was constant. Someone you could lean on, laugh with, or just sit in silence beside. She had a way of making you feel understood, even when you didn't have the words yet. She didn't just listen, she saw you. She believed in second chances. She believed tomorrow could be better than today. She believed that kindness mattered, and she lived that belief. Even when things were hard, Nay looked for the light. And if she couldn't find it, she became the light for somebody else. It was the excessively ordinary things that made Nay so beautiful. There are billions of people who now know her name, and it would be so easy to fall into the false belief that great heroic things are required to overcome difficult things in the world. But as Tolkien wrote, it's the small, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keep the darkness at bay. Small acts of kindness and love. That's why the image of dandelions feels so right. People try to pull them up, overlook them, dismiss them, but they keep coming back, stronger, brighter, spreading seeds of hope everywhere they land. Renee planted those seeds in all of us. And her children, in her family, in friends, coworkers, and people who maybe didn't even realize they needed her light at the time. And sunlight. Sunlight doesn't ask for recognition. It just gives. It warms, it nurtures, it helps things grow. Renee did that for us. She helped us grow. She helped us believe in ourselves. She helped us see the good, even when life felt heavy. Renee is not gone from us. She's in the light that finds us on hard days. She's in the resilience we didn't know we had until we needed it. She's in the laughter, the memories, the love that continues to grow. Like dandelions, like sunlight, and like Renee. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent and Luke, for that really powerful appeal to the nation's conscience. And I hope to our colleagues on both sides of the aisle, and I hope that all of our colleagues colleagues will join in seeking the action that you just described that is so important, not just as a tribute to your sister, but as a way to prevent the kind of lawless brutality that caused her death.
Did you know that sugar with cinnamon and apple cider vinegar can make you forget you ever had type 2? This is the strangest.
Well, what's clear to me is that there needs to be dramatic change at the Department of Homeland Security. We supported the 5 bipartisan bills that are now on.
For more on the vote today ending the partial government shutdown and the latest on the Epstein files, I spoke earlier today with House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries of New York. Leader Jeffries, welcome back to the NewsHour.
Thank you for having me on.
More than 20 House Democrats voted with Republicans to reopen the government. You voted against the measure. Why?
Well, what's clear to me is that there needs to be dramatic change at the Department of Homeland Security. We supported the 5 bipartisan bills that are now on their way to President Trump's desk because they are actually designed to promote the health, the safety, and the economic well-being of the American people. Rosa DeLauro, top Democrat on the Appropriations Committee, did a tremendous job in negotiating those bills. The American people don't want to see their taxpayer dollars, however, utilized to brutalize and kill American citizens. Taxpayer dollars should actually be used to make life more affordable for everyday Americans. And that's going to be the genesis of the fight over the next 10 days as we approach the funding deadline on February 13th for the Department of Homeland Security.
That's right. We should explain to folks who might be unfamiliar. This agreement kicks off this 10-day sprint now for Democrats and Republicans to agree on policy changes for how ICE should operate. What specific changes do you believe must be addressed before Democrats support longer-term funding?
Fundamentally, we believe that ICE should conduct itself like every other law enforcement agency in the country. Police officers don't wear masks. Sheriffs don't wear masks. State troopers don't wear masks. There's no justification for the manner in which ICE is conducting itself in terms of masks. They should be required to have body cameras. They should be required to obtain judicial warrants before they can rip everyday Americans out of their homes or out of their cars. We want to make clear there's an explicit prohibition from ICE detaining or deporting American citizens, which we have seen examples of, unfortunately. We believe that if ICE agents break the law, they should be held accountable. And those investigations should be fair, complete, and independent, which also means giving state and local authorities the ability to investigate violations of state and local law.
The DHS Secretary, Kristi Noem, said this week that DHS will deploy body cameras to Minneapolis and other cities as funding allows for those agents who are working in those cities. Is that sufficient? Is that a good enough first step, a sign that the administration is at least open to changes?
Well, Kristi Noem has zero credibility. Certainly it is the case that body cameras should be required. And we also know that the Department of Homeland Security has more than enough funding. In the one big ugly bill, where Republicans enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history, and at the same time stripped away about $186 billion in support for nutritional assistance, they literally stole food from the mouths of hungry children, seniors, and veterans in order to give the Department of Homeland Security a $191 billion slush fund, $75 billion of which went to ICE. So the funding clearly exists for every single ICE agent to have body cameras on and functioning at all times. And the fact that Kristi Noem is suggesting that there may be a funding shortfall indicates further the lack of credibility that she has. She should be fired. And if she's not fired, I've indicated that the House Democrats are prepared to initiate impeachment proceedings against her.
In the time that remains, I want to ask you about the Epstein files, because the Justice Department last week released over 3 million pages of Epstein-related documents. Many of them were heavily redacted. There are legislators who say that not all of the relevant material has been disclosed. In your view, Did the DOJ comply with the congressional intent and with the law in the way that it has gone about making these documents public?
The Department of Justice continues to hide documents from the American people in a manner that is entirely inconsistent with the law that was passed with huge bipartisan majorities and, of course, signed by Donald Trump. And the question has to once again be asked, what are the Department of Justice lawyers hiding from the American people, and who are they protecting? There are more than 3 million documents that have not been released. And as you indicated, several documents have been heavily redacted. And so the survivors of the Epstein crime spree have boldly and appropriately called for accountability and transparency. And the only way to achieve that is to make sure that the Department of Justice releases the Epstein files in their entirety. They have failed to do that to date.
Meantime, the Clintons have agreed to testify in this Republican-led inquiry. It's led by the House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer, as you well know. This appears to be an effort by the GOP to make the Clintons the face of this Epstein scandal, the Epstein investigation. The question I have for you, though, is about the precedent. If Democrats win the House come November, does this mean that future investigations will apply the same standard to presidents and political leaders of both parties?
Well, I think that, the Clintons have endeavored to enter into good faith negotiations with a Republican majority that is clearly trying to create a political circus in order to try to distract from the accountability and lack of full transparency that the Trump administration has been blocking since the very beginning of this whole sordid matter. And so from our standpoint, I'm thankful that it appears that we're now on a path toward the Clintons reaching an agreement with the House to provide their testimony. But I don't believe that James Comer is a serious individual or that he's seriously trying to actually get information that then can be presented to the American people as part of what we are trying to accomplish here, which is transparency and accountability. He wants to politicize things. He's targeting the Clintons so he can distract from the fact that the Trump administration is failing to comply with the law, a law that Donald Trump himself signed.
House Democratic Leader Hakeem Jeffries, thanks again for your time this evening.
Thank you so much.